to hear it and then watch it later. So just want to make sure everyone knows that going into this. Okay, so now I am going to share my screen so that we can get this slideshow started. And I am going to turn my camera off because it helps with the bandwidth so that we don't have to worry about it being too slow. Let's see. Okay, so can everyone see my screen? If Ms. Chilson, can you let me know?
Yes, I can see it fine. Somebody does need to turn mute their mic. I'm gonna mute you. I'll try to remember to mute people as they come on if they are not muted.
Okay, perfect. Appreciate that. Okay, so like I said, my name is Miss Fitzsimmons, and I am one of the counselors, and we're going to be talking about career exploration, a very exciting topic. So these are sort of some of the things that we're going to be going over tonight. So we're going to talk about what exactly is the difference between a job and a career, how to discover different career options, and we're going to talk about traditional careers versus non-traditional. Then we're going to talk about the tools and assessments that are available for you to find the right fit in terms of what do you want to do as a career? What do you want to do with your life after high school, after you graduate college, if that's what you're going to do? Then we're going to talk about Naviance, which is a fabulous tool that you have here at your disposal. And we're going to go through the different tabs and assessments that you can do through Naviance to help you with sort of discovering parts of yourself and your personality, and then how that relates to careers. The demonstration of Naviance is me going to kind of be going through and showing you so that then you can at home sort of redo those steps and you can answer your questions and do the assessments. And then I'm going to have a couple other resources for career exploration that aren't Naviance so that you can also explore those after you've done Naviance. So let's just jump right in. So what exactly is the difference? I thought this was a great graphic because, well, one, it's Superman, which is always fun, but I think it really shows a good visual of what a job is versus what a career is. So when we think of a job is usually something you have to do to survive. So many of you might even have a part-time job right now. Sometimes people are working at Starbucks or McDonald's or Taco Bell, right? Any of those kind of places, those are going to be jobs, right? Part-time jobs or a full-time job. Usually those are going to be hourly wage. There's typically not many benefits. So when I say benefits, I mean health insurance, retirement funds, right? Those kind of things. There's not a whole lot of training that is required for a job, and typically there's going to be a high turnover rate. So those are sort of some of the main characteristics of what is a job. So now, what is a career? So a career, think of it kind of being the opposite, right? A career is something that you choose to do because you're either passionate about it or you feel like it's your purpose. A lot of times we hear people in the educational field, especially teachers, talk about, you know, it was a calling, right? I knew that I was supposed to be a teacher and that was my purpose, and that is why I pursued that career. So that is, so kind of think in terms of that for a career. Usually it has a salary, which means, you know, you're not going to be hourly. So it's okay, you're going to have for the whole year, this is how much you're going to get paid. And part of that compensation package is usually benefits, meaning you're going to get health insurance. You're going to have the retirement. You're going to have sort of all of those things that help to make the career even a little bit better than just having the job. Longevity is something that is typically with a career. People usually stay in a career and stay with it for a long time. Now, this has kind of morphed and changed a little bit, which is okay, because it used to be that someone started at a company and they started their career and they were there until they retired. And we have kind of shifted from that a little bit, where now maybe it's you might have a couple careers in your lifetime, and that's okay. So it's sort of, it's a good thing to do these assessments that we're going to talk about and really pay attention to, okay, what do I really love to do? And what is something that I want to do day in and day out for, every day when I'm going to work, something to get me to where I want to be. And then usually careers are going to require advanced training. So you're usually going to have a bachelor's. Sometimes you're going to have a master's, or you may have to just have, a certificate or an associate's degree, but it is typically going to be more than just having your high school diploma. Whereas with the job, typically you either don't need a high school diploma, or if you have a high school diploma, that will suffice. So those are sort of some of the main differences between those two. So when we think about careers, these are traditional careers that typically require more formal education and are more of the careers that we think about when you hear someone say, this is what I do for a living. So it's, doctor, teacher, lawyer, dentist, a counselor, right? Those are some examples of more traditional careers. And all of those obviously are going to have varying degrees of education, right? All of them, though, are going to need that 4-year of a bachelor degree, all of the examples that I have. And then some of them, like a doctor, is obviously going to have a little bit more schooling. So is a lawyer, so is the dentist. But you can also do community college. So I know for some teachers and like substitute teaching, I believe you can do, you can have the certificate, you can do the associate's degree. You don't have to necessarily go for those 4 years of the more traditional route of going to a college or university. So then on the flip side, we have non-traditional careers. So this is more about, think of vocational school or a trade school. So this is if you want to be a cosmetologist, a hairstylist, maybe a mechanic, someone who works on planes, someone who works just on motorcycles. The HVAC repair person, the person who comes out during the summer when your air conditioner has stopped working and they come out and they fix it. So those are going to be specific trades. So those vocational schools are typically not as long, the schooling, and then you're going to get that certificate and then be able to go in to that career. Military is also going to fall under a non-traditional career. And that is when you can talk with recruiters. And I know we have recruiters sometimes who come here to Chattahoochee, and we'll talk with you about military and all of the different options that are available and the benefits that come with serving our country. So those are, again, just some examples of what non-traditional careers are. And the best news is everyone's path is going to look different. So some people are going to do a traditional route, other people are going to do a non-traditional route, and it's okay, because the most important thing is you have to think about what you want to do. So this is really where you kind of have to check in with yourself and go, okay, do I like to be outside in nature, or do I want to be inside an office building? Do I like to work by myself, or do I get more of my energy and ideas when I am part of a team? So these are a couple things to just start thinking about when you are considering what you want to do for a career, what you maybe want to study in college, or even what classes you want to take here at Chattahoochee, right? All of those can lead to the next thing. So these are just some other examples of what would you rather do? So I think this is just a great slide to really help you think about, okay, so let's say I want to work in, for example, I want to work in a hospital. Okay, do I want to take a blood sample from a patient, right? Or do I want to examine the samples under a microscope? So one of those careers would be working with people. One of them would be more, you're going to be more in a solitary role and you're going to just be with you and maybe a small team. So it's important to know, okay, which one of those sounds really fun? Or maybe one of those sounds like, oh my gosh, that sounds awful because I'm an introvert and I don't want to do that. And that's okay. That's part of why you're exploring who you are and what you want to do. So these are some things that career exploration looks like, right? So it's like, okay, what exactly do I have to do? So one of the things is take the time to try new hobbies, interests. So you're going to, one of the things you can do is choose an elective that interests you here at Chattahoochee. If you're really into writing, you can choose an elective, like dramatic writing, maybe when you're a senior. Or, let's say you think you maybe want to do something with automobiles. You could do our basic maintenance and light repair class. We have graphic design classes. We have engineering. We have the healthcare science, right? So we have all sorts of electives that if something, even if it just piques your interest a little bit, that's something that you could choose because you may get into the class and go, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I want to do. This is great. And then you can kind of start your pathway. You can also take classes through community organizations. Summertime is coming up. So maybe that's something that if you kind of know what interests you already, or after you do some of these assessments, you have something, do research. Figure out if there are things in the community that you can go and take a class to get more information about, okay, what does this really look like? What could this mean for a career? So another thing you can do is read industry magazines. So what that means is, again, let's say you think you want to be an auto mechanic. Well, go and see if you can find magazines that talk about that industry so that you can start learning, okay, what is the lingo? What are some things that maybe I would need to know how to do? I'd have to make sure I'm interested in this or that. So it just can help flesh out what you already know and could potentially show you, yes, this is actually the right direction. I'm thinking I want to do this, or, ooh, okay, maybe I had a different idea of what that really looks like. So you can also do something that you can identify the best career options based on your personality. And this is also going to come up in another part in our presentation. But this is something that is Holland's theory. So he, and this link, which I'm not going to take the time to go to it now, but I have linked it here. It actually takes you to where you can take the assessment. So I'm going to talk about the assessment on the next page. So Holland's theory is he's saying if you match someone's personality with their work environment and interests, it's going to make for a more fulfilling career. The person is going to be more happy and satisfied because their personality fits with where they are in their work environment. So with his theory, people are going to usually fit into, I think it's up to 3. You usually have 3 areas that kind of overlap. But the first one is realistic. So that's you're enjoying working with things that include practical, hands-on problems and solutions. So, that could be the mechanic, right? That could be an engineer. Then you have investigative. So enjoys working with ideas, facts, figuring out problems mentally. Then we have artistic, enjoys working with forms, designs, patterns, prefer work that can be done without following a clear set of rules, right? That's usually an artistic thing of, I want to be able to have that creative license, be able to have an idea, try and come up with it and present it. So that's going to be someone who has an artistic personality. Then we also have social. So this is going to be someone who enjoys working with, communicating with, and teaching people, right? These are going to be your teachers. These are going to be your doctors. These are going to be people who they like to be of service to others. That is something that brings them joy. Then we have enterprising. So this is enjoys occupations that involve leading people and making decisions. So this potentially could be, the CEO of a company, right? Someone who is enterprising and has that, knows how to go after something, is that leadership. It, likes helping people find their way within the organization. That could be an enterprising personality trait. And then finally, we have conventional. So that's enjoys working with data and details more than ideas, having set procedures, routines. So I always think of, a scientist, right? A scientist is someone who there are certain things you have to do in a certain order. It's all about details, right? And it's all about making sure that your data is accurate. So that is going to be an example of someone who is a more conventional personality. So again, think when you take you and your personality type, and then you have a career or your major and the compatible work environment, what we want to do is find that overlap. We want to find where your personality and that work environment come together. And then in that area is where, okay, those are some careers and things that I need to start looking at because that looks like it'll probably be a good match and would be a happy thing for you in your career, which is going to lead to greater success and satisfaction at your career. So some other things you can do. Volunteering and job shadowing are huge things that you can do. And especially, again, because summer is coming up, places are, if you show the initiative to say, okay, I want to volunteer at the dog shelter because I think I want to do something with animals, maybe be a veterinarian one day. That would be a great place where you could go and volunteer, or you could try and job shadow at a vet office, right? So those are things that you could reach out and say, okay, this is something that I think I want to do, but before I really jump with both feet in, let me kind of get a feel for if this is really what I think I want to do. And then getting the part-time job to help build your soft skills. So all of these skills, your communication, being able to do critical thinking, the resilience, right? Being able to bounce back after something if you've faced an obstacle, being able to be resilient and push through that and get to the other side, and assertiveness and that confidence. All of those things are so crucial to life in general, but also will spill over into your career. So setting the foundation today is going to lead to a more successful tomorrow and to a more successful and satisfied you with your career. So now let's talk about Naviance. Most of you, I'm sure, are probably familiar with Naviance, but maybe you don't know all of the different things that it can do for you. So Naviance is the comprehensive college and career readiness solution that we use here and in a lot of high schools, and it helps you identify and connect academic achievement with your post-secondary goals. So it helps you to say, okay, this is where I am now. This is what my interest is. How can I now make that applicable to what I'm going to do after high school, after college, once I get into my working life as an adult? So I think you all probably know how to use Naviance, but I'm going to just go over it again really fast. So you are going to get to Naviance through your class link. So you'll line in, and then at the bottom, you can see right here is what your little icon is going to look like that you're going to click on. And then it's going to take you to the home page. So this is a student's homepage, but I have taken out any identifying information. So this is actually what the homepage looks like for one of our seniors. And you can see at the top, there are 5 tabs, and it says home because that's where we are now. And then it has self-discovery and careers, and then 2 others. We are going to focus on self-discovery and careers tonight because that is where you're going to be able to take some of those inventories and assessments, learn about your personality, and then explore some careers. So self-discovery, those are all of the things when you hit on self-discovery, all of the things that are going to pop up for you to be able to do. So, and these assessments, the goal behind them is to help pinpoint what you're interested in. Some of them are also going to help you have tips for studying and being a more effective student, which can also then spill over into when you are working in your career. If you already have those good habits, you know how to be organized, you know what works for you, then that is going to help you to be an even more prepared person in your career and to feel good about what you're doing. Then we have the career tab, which that is what we're going to do and look at when we're exploring careers, and we're looking at clusters and pathways. And then there's a really cool thing called Road Trip Nation, which honestly, I wish had been around when I was in high school because it is just such a cool thing to be able to actually hear from people who are in the industry that you're interested in. So we're going to talk a little bit about that later in the presentation. So it's sort of, you're going to do the self-discovery piece first, and then once you kind of get that information, then we can move over into the career tabs, because then you'll sort of know, okay, what are my interests? What are some of the career pathways that I think I want to explore a little bit more? So on the self-discovery homepage, these are all of the different assessments that you can do. So there's a lot. So I don't want you to be overwhelmed, but they're all, because they all are going to be looking at different types of things. And you don't have to do them all at once, right? You can do one and then come back and do another one, but just know that they're here and they're going to really help you narrow down kind of like what you're wanting to do and who you are. And it's always good to be introspective and get to know ourselves a little bit more. So this first one is the Career Interest Profiler. So this is one that you're going to take, and it's going to gauge your interest in different type of work activities. So after you take the assessment, your results are going to include your personality traits according to your Holland Code. So that's the thing I was talking about before. So it's going to let you know if you are, realistic and conventional, or if you're artistic and enterprising. So it's kind of going to let you know, okay, based on your answers, this is where your personality traits fall. And that then is in turn going to help you with your career exploration and your planning. So career recommendations are going to be given based on your personality. You can also use the results to explore the suggested occupations that they are going to suggest for you. Then it's also, you'll be able to look at the education, training, the skills that are required to do the career that you are interested in. And it's also going to talk about wages, because at the end of the day, right, you want to move out of mom and dad's house. You want to be able to live on your own. So that's a good thing to know. Okay, what is this job typically going to pay, so that I know what I'm getting myself into? So after you do that, then we have the Career Cluster Finder. So this is going to help you identify interests and discover your career clusters that are going to contain careers that might interest you. So these are going to, after you take this assessment, you'll learn how well each of the 16 national career clusters fit into your current interests and qualities. We're going to kind of talk about the 16 national career clusters, right? We're going to talk about that after we get through these next couple slides about the different assessments. Then we're going to talk about, okay, here are the pathways, here are the clusters, here's Road Trip Nation. So now we have AchieveWorks Intelligences and AchieveWorks Learning and Productivity. So the intelligences is an assessment that is going to help uncover different intelligences that you have. And it's also going to cover emotional intelligence and how to transfer that information to your potential career. So part of the results too are going to help you discover how you deal with information, how you solve problems, and how you create things. And you're going to learn how to use the strengths identified in this assessment in work in your future career. Then learning and productivity is going to be helping you learn about your sensory and mindset preferences. So this is where it's going to help you to become a better student, to be more comfortable and successful in class, and in turn in your future career, because it's going to showcase what your learning style is so that you can understand how to be the most productive student / person when you're in your career, and just kind of give you some tips on how to make studying a little bit easier and more effective. So that will also help you right now when you're at Chattahoochee, as well as if you decide to go on to college, and then when you enter the working world. Okay, so now the AchieveWorks Personality and the Strengths Explorer. So the personality is going to help identify some personality types. And it's going to do this by asking you to choose scenarios that best represent how you behave in real life. So part of that is, it's after you have taken that assessment, right? It's going to tell you your personality type. So an example, I know it's ISFJ, right? Some of you may have heard about that, or it's, oh, I'm an INFJ, right? So it's going to tell you, kind of break down a little bit what your personality type is, and then how you can take that personality type, and it's going to provide tips to achieve success in a way that works for you based on your personality, as well as some best fit career options for you. So it's going to be able to look at your personality type. You can also think back to the Holland Code of, okay, I'm also realistic in this. How is this all going to come together for my best fit future career? Then Strengths Explorer allows you to explore areas of natural talents, which is going to help you understand things that you're good at and the career pathway associated with them. So, Strengths Explorer could maybe be, well, I think I'm already good at this. And then you take the assessment and it shows like, yep, you are. You're really strong in that area that you already kind of are aware of. Or maybe you're going to take it and you really don't know what your natural talents are. And this is going to help you understand that and kind of pinpoint it for you so that you can go, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And move forward and try and do a little bit more exploring on careers. Okay, so now you've done all of that. Now what, right? You have all of this information. What do you do with it now? This is where the explore careers, okay? So now we've moved from self-discovery. So we have moved from this tab over to the careers tab. So this is going to show you really detailed information about different kind of careers. And if you notice over here, oh, where'd my mouse go? Here we go. You can sort by the title of the career, education needed, or the salary. So there are 3 different ways that you can sort of sort your results. And then let's say you know that you want to be an actor and you click on this and you want to save that as a career. You can do the favorites by, hitting the little heart button, and then it will save it so that you can kind of save them and go back and look. And, maybe what your interest is today, maybe next year it might be a little different, and that's okay. But at least you can have these favorites saved so that you can kind of go and see, and maybe based on your favorites, you'll be able to see some themes, right? Maybe it's okay, wow, like everything that I seem to like, it all has this same common denominator. So that could potentially help you figure out, okay, what does that mean? Like, so how can I make that work for, apparently this is really something that I'm drawn to. What is that going to look like for a career? Okay, let me find down here. Okay, so now over here, this is the clusters and pathways. So you can choose the career cluster. So let's say I took this example, you're interested in architecture and construction. You will be able to hit this and it's going to bring you down to some related pathways. Okay, so it's, oh, maybe architecture, you want to do something with maintenance or operations, or with construction, or with the pre-design or pre-construction of a home. So once you click on this cluster, right, and the pathway is displayed, then you can click on one of these and it's going to display a lot of detailed information about that career. So it's going to have the employment outlook, meaning, okay, is this industry growing? Is this looking like there's going to be growth? Or maybe we're seeing it's not really, it's kind of plateauing. There's not a lot of new opportunities for it. So that's going to be something you can look at. You're going to look at, okay, what are the typical credentials? What do I need? Do I need to have a 4-year degree, or can I just have a certificate or an associate's degree, or maybe even just a high school diploma? So it's going to help you know what they're going to be looking for when you're going to start interviewing. Then it's also going to show you some other related careers. Maybe it's like, well, I think I want to do something with construction, but I don't know if I really want to like build the houses. So it's going to give you related things to construction. It's also going to tell you majors. So what major is going to be the most applicable, or going to give you the most real life skills that you will need for that career that you are thinking of. And it also, this is a very cool thing, it will give you a plan of study for classes that you could take in high school that would help you on that pathway, right? That will help start that foundation for the knowledge that you will need to be successful in your future career. So I think that's a pretty awesome thing. One of the other nice things that these two, the cluster and pathway and careers, they also break down and they show you what you're actually going to do in the career. So it's going to tell you, what your typical day could look like, right? Or what some of your duties are going to be when you're in the career. It's also going to show you wages across the United States. So that's a good thing. Maybe even though we're in Georgia, maybe one day you want to live in California. So you want to be able to know, okay, I know what the wage is here in Georgia, but that could look very different for another state. So that way you can kind of look and see, depending on where you are geographically, the wage could change. It could either go up or it could go down. It's also going to show related Holland traits. So going back to that realistic, conventional, enterprising. So for the career you click on, it's going to break down and say, okay, someone who is enterprising and investigative is really going to fit with this career. They're really going to feel like, okay, I am in the right spot. So that will also help you, once you know what your personality trait is, and you think maybe you're interested and you click on it, and maybe it's not one of your personality traits. That's not to say that you wouldn't enjoy the job or that you wouldn't be good at the job. It is just another tool to let you know, okay, typically in this career, people who are this personality type tend to be happier, tend to feel more like, yep, this is the right fit. I'm in the right spot. And then it's going to do the related majors like we talked about, and then the other related careers. So it's some really good stuff once you have kind of figured out, okay, these are where I think my interests are. Now, what does that look like in terms of how I can turn that interest into a career? So now, this is the really cool part, this thing called Road Trip Nation. So this is where you can create your own road trip to your career based on those identified interests. There are, in Road Trip Nation, you can access over 5,000 videos that are going to focus on various interests and themes related to the career that you are interested in. So the first one is going to be explore, right? So this is going to be the first stage when you go on your Road Trip Nation. And this is going to be where, okay, it's going to just say what it says. You're going to explore, right? There's going to be some leaders, so you can see at the bottom, that little snapshot, all of those different leaders in their industries. So who they work for, what their position is, and then also, okay, what is their industry? You know, Tracy Parrish is in education and she deals with numbers, whereas Ben Zander is music and writing, right? So those are going to be some things that you can kind of look and see, okay, let me look in what their pathway was. What did their road look like? Then you can also do what's your road? So this is going to be another, think of it as, you know, answering questions, trying to figure out, okay, what is it that I want to do? Where do I want to go? These are some of the questions that they're going to be asking you, right? So the step one is going to be, okay, what interests you the most? And like it says, it doesn't matter what I'm doing as long as I'm building things, right? I'm the happiest when I am building things. I'm the happiest when I am helping people. I'm as happiest when I am problem solving, when I'm teaching, right? So you're going to sort of say what those are, and then it's going to keep taking you down to, okay, then choose an interest, then choose another interest. And it's going to let you know, okay, based on your answers, this is sort of where your road trip is heading, where your road could be heading for a career. So then this is where we come to interests. So now let's say you have figured out, okay, my interest is fashion. So now you would be able to come over here and you can see, all right, for fashion, there are 18 leaders. And when you click on that, it's going to take you to all of those people and to all of those things about fashion so that you can look at videos. You can read their biographies. You can see, okay, what did they study to get there? What were some things they had to triumph over? What were some obstacles that they didn't realize were going to be a part of getting to their career, right? So those are going to just give you a little bit more information about what your possible career could be. And the best thing is these are coming from people who are in the industry, right? They're living it. They know it. They can help and they can just shed light on maybe answering questions or doing something that you haven't even thought about, right? So this is something that is really cool about the Road Trip Nation. So then this is also going to be themes. So maybe you're like, okay, I really want to learn more about how someone deals with conflict, how some of these leaders have built up their confidence, their community involvement. So these are all those type of videos that you, again, can watch from people in the industries that you're interested in and how they have faced some of these adversities or how they have addressed some of these themes and how they did it, so that you can kind of know, okay, that's how they did it, that's how I could do it. Or maybe I would do it a little differently. So it just kind of gets your brain thinking a little bit about, okay, what would I do in this kind of situation? Then this is a really cool thing. So if you have figured out, okay, I know the occupation I want. So let's say, you think you want to be an attorney. So then you would be able to click on this person's name and it's going to take you to a page that is going to talk all about that person. They're going to share their biography. There are videos. It's going to share all sorts of things about what you need to do to have work in that occupation, what company they work for, how they got there, where they're located. So it will kind of let you know, okay, different areas of the country and different like this is something that is happening there and that I could potentially do. And then this last one, the playlists are, again, it's going to just be more videos from different people in the industries and the leaders, and it's going to be different topics. So, this one in particular was an interview with someone from a consulting, and it was, I think pursuing STEM careers, right? So it's lots of these different videos. And the nice thing is they're not super long. So you can watch a few of them, right? You don't have to worry about, oh man, okay, this is going to be like a 30-minute video I have to watch. It's like, nope, one of them is 3 minutes. So it gives you just kind of little snippets into, okay, this is the world that I think I maybe want to go into. What is it actually really going to look like? It's pretty cool. All right, so that is all for Naviance. So those are all of the things that you can find there. Now, this is another fabulous resource that the Bureau of Labor Statistics put out. So it's the Occupational Outlook Handbook. So this is going to offer information on hundreds of occupations that provide someone put on a mic, maybe.
I just muted them.
Okay, thank you. So this is going to be, so it's going to provide information on hundreds of occupations that provide most of the jobs in the United States. So again, you can see there are lots of different ways that you can filter out what you're wanting to be looking at. You can do it by, if you know the first letter of the career of the occupation you think. If you want to look at, okay, what's going to pay me the highest? What's the fastest growing? What's something that I know is growing in a positive way, so when I come out of college, there are going to be jobs waiting for me. Or you could go over here. So this is kind of going to be similar to the Naviance career and cluster and pathway, right? So it's going to be, okay, I think I want to do something in arts and design, but I'm not really sure what. You could click on that and it's going to kind of tell you a lot of different options. Each profile is going to include the typical duties of the job, what the work environment is like, education and training that is needed, what the median pay, so that's going to be what, that like in the middle, what people usually make, and then job outlook over the coming decade. So like we talked, this right here is a link that will take you directly to this site so that you can just kind of start looking around and kind of playing around with some different things that interest you. Okay, so that is now the end of the presentation. So if we have any questions, and I'm also want to let you know too that I have, and this is all going to be on the counseling website, these are just some other really great additional resources that you can go to that can help you pinpoint what you think you maybe want to do. So there's lots of resources out there for you to explore and to figure out, okay, what is my next step going to be? It's all very exciting. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that then I can also see if there are any questions in the chat. Or if anyone has any questions. All right, it's looking like maybe no, and that's okay. And I know this was a lot of information. So if at some point, and you do come up with a question, feel free to go back and look at this presentation again, or you can always reach out to your counselor and see if they can help you. That's part of why we're here. All right, it looks like, yeah, I know, I see this. Anyone, Bueller? Anyone have any questions? All right, so it looks like we don't have any questions right now. So this will be, we can wrap up this webinar. Like I said, this is going to be posted on the counseling website, I believe by the end of this week. Ms. Bonaventura, our professional assistant, should be able to have this on there so that you can go back. You can rewatch the presentation if you want, or the PowerPoint is also going to just be on the website too. So you can just look at the PowerPoint as well. And that's going to have those resources and those links that we talked about. Well, thank you so much for coming and for being a part of this 4th webinar. And hopefully we will see you in the last webinar sometime in May, I believe is when it is. And yeah, thank you so much for coming. And I hope that you are as excited as I am about you exploring different career options. All right, thanks so much.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.